Good morning, everybody. Welcome. So nice to have you here. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing great. Welcome to another fasting space session. If you're new, if you're coming through, I'm Dr. Z. Real nice to have you here. Really excited. Taking another step today. Here we are. Wednesday, October 22nd. And here we have the opportunity. Get together, focus on health, start our day, focus on heading in the most positive direction that we can. Grab a coffee, tea, settle in. I'm going to be talking about boosting our weight loss process with a simple brain hack. If you've been following along, over the last few days, I've been reading through this book, which was recommended to me, Thinking Fast and Slow. I'm really liking going through it. And I'm kind of reading it daily and gleaning what I can out of it and distilling it into our daily sessions. And today I'm really excited about some really insightful thoughts. I kind of like that more right now. I don't know how I'll do it because I knew this book was going to be good. So it's kind of working to go through it like that. I really thought yesterday, I loved that insight about that automatic thinking that we have, that like the conclusion comes first and then kind of the supporting arguments are built around it. I think we see that manifest in so many places in life. And so certainly it can help on the weight loss front, on understanding our behavior, on dialing in on our eating. That is core to think about, like our decision making, especially when we're under stress. Stress is pushing us into that state of that automatic mode, kind of fight or flight state. Can, as I'm seeing it, as we work through it, when we're not in such an intense situation where I think that's part of the process of how we can kind of get in a flow state where we are heading through the day without struggle. That's what we're going for. Pat is here. Good morning. Happy hump day. We're making it over the top today, and then it's all downhill from here. We're going to coast into the weekend, hopefully with great success, keeping on a good path. Love hacks. Yeah, I think it's the first time I've ever used the word hack in a title. It felt wrong because I'm not really in the like clickbaity titles, but it's real. So I tell people this is a real hack, and I love, a hack. You say it's like a shortcut, right? And this is what this is. This is like learn how the brain works. And can we take some simple steps to just shortcut and like really dial in? A hack has the idea of like, you don't have to do too much work and you can get a big bonus from it. And see if you agree by the time we're done. That is what we are. That is exactly what we are going to be talking about. All right. I start giving you some insights from chapter 4 of this very insightful book, Thinking Fast and Slow. Let me know any comments, thoughts we have along the way. The way this chapter starts, and I thought about putting a picture on it, but then I decided not to because I didn't want the effect to be too strong. The way he starts out, he puts 2 words at the start. I'm just going to tell them to you so that you can stay calm and not stressed out. The words are banana and vomit, okay? What a gross word, all right? And so he's putting these words in there words that don't normally, go together, and then a word that is like an emotional word. It makes us react. And the point that he makes in the first part of this is like you're exposed to something. Just a simple word, especially when you aren't expecting it, it will start priming your system for all kinds of things, especially like when you're seeing it. That's why I didn't show it to you. I want you just sitting there, chilling out, enjoying the coffee. He says, look at what happened just in the last couple seconds when you looked at that word. Your mind, you experience unpleasant images and memories. Your face might have twisted slightly at the impression of disgust. You may have pushed this book imperceptibly further away. Then he goes through this whole series as we start to get in deeper into this system one thinking, this automatic system that we interpret as our emotions and feelings, but it's really like just presenting ideas and possible interpretations. It's kind of serving up these options for our more powerful system 2 that is really our conscious thoughts. Hey, we're in the battle zone now, right? We're in the battle zone, and nothing wrong. No rules. Remember, I did that one. No rules for weight loss. But if you're trying to stay dialed in, then I think you like the hack coming up. Trying to stay dialed in on a fasting space. You see a word as like priming all kinds of emotions, right? And of course, lots of things can prime our experience, as we'll see. Doesn't have to be just words. But the process, what he's showing, it happens beyond your control. Memories and ideas, emotions, feelings, even behavior, like making a face, right? Like things are happening before you can even think about it. This complex constellation of responses occurs quickly, automatically, and effortlessly. You don't will it and you can't stop it. That's system 1. Right, the word evokes memories. Memories evoke emotions, which evoke facial expressions and other physical reactions like tensing up. The facial expression intensify the feelings, and then the feelings reinforce ideas. So like this whole integrated cycle is happening. Do you see it? Can you experience that? Maybe, like smell, that would be a big trigger, right? So many things can come in and prime. You smell a thing and then think about all the state, like instantly. You're in an emotional state. It's like priming you to eat something, right? Jen is here. Good morning. So nice to have you here. Hope you're doing well today. All right, so think of a priming of like a smell and how automatically so many things are triggered. Maybe we can even start tasting something. We're thinking thoughts of food. What food is it? When was the last time we have it and I want it, right? So all these things involuntarily, like you couldn't stop it. You couldn't smell, pancakes wafting over from the house next door, for example, without making your experience of trying to dial in without the pancakes. It'd make it much harder, right? You would be in pancake zone. And then, of course, so many things are like this. Think of commercials on TV, right? Is priming the system. As soon as you see the food, right? It's trying to hit all these emotional things, triggering this sequence like I was describing here. And what they say here is realizing, okay, you just saw a word, it started evoking physical responses in the body. It's showing that our cognition is embodied. That's what he's saying here. That we don't just think with our mind, we think with our whole body because we feel it. and it has all these physical effects in the body. It's like a total body response that we can be primed to think in a certain way or make certain decisions subconsciously. Are you seeing that? That's something that we don't think of a lot. That's what we were saying in the last couple episodes. And that's why I wanted to kind of dive in on this book with us, because so much of our decision making is happening like under the surface. So much going on and we don't appreciate it. We think it's not there. We just take our thinking as this slice of it, what he calls the system 2. We don't realize that all these layers are happening and processing, and all these ideas and context being served up to us. And part of it is a way I think that this can help take the pressure off. Have you ever been frustrated about decisions that you've made? Where it's like, oh, I didn't really want to do that. But then we do it anyway. Realize it's like the iceberg. We see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see the huge mass of ice under it that's floating this whole thing up there. And that's what our conscious decision making is like. We're just seeing the top of the iceberg there. But we're trying to peel back the layers so that we can modulate, change this experience that we're having. Help us make decisions that are more in alignment with the direction that we're trying to go. All right, so we're dialed in on eating, right? We're talking about weight loss, and of course weight loss intimately connected with how we're eating and when we're not eating and all these sorts of things. And then we're thinking of food this morning. We're thinking of pancakes, or we're thinking about not thinking about them, like however you dial it in. And so as we're thinking about all these things, as soon as you say pancakes, right, then it's priming every other breakfast thing. Like we're kind of have that loaded in under the surface. Scrambled eggs and sausage and waffles and all this stuff is kind of floating right there. Where if we hadn't like been exposed to it, like it wouldn't been there. Maybe we'd just be floating on with the coffee. It'd be much easier. And so I'm going to put it in the chat. The guy in the book, he says, okay, fill in the blank, okay? Like what is the word here? That completes, like what letter completes our little word? I didn't need to put a capital P, I guess. S-O and P. The exercise that he goes through, and it's always weird, with the latency. Because we've been talking about like all things food related, and they've done studies with this. We've primed eating, so people talking about eating, it's loading things about eating. People very likely to complete this word as soup, because like soup is food, and so we're loaded in a food space. And what they do in the studies when they're testing people on this, they load people in a completely different context. They got people talking about how they were working all day and got so dirty and they're taking a shower and all this sort of stuff. And then everybody fills it in with soap, okay? So, and it could be different words. So this is what's showing the context shapes how we think about everything. If we're in a context where we're talking about food, the words that come to our mind are going to be food related, right? So think about this, about the context we put ourselves in during the day and how that shapes our decision making. They describe it, okay, things that we're getting primed with in our environment, in our experience. Pictures like throwing rocks into a pond. It ripples out cognitively. And so there's like a first ring, which is like everything food food, intimate foods related to it, and then there's like it ripples out and then to broader concepts, eating and all this sort of stuff. Yes. Y'all are dialed in. Y'all are dialed in on it. Emotions can be primed by events which you are not even aware. Maybe, people getting up in the morning, why do we think soup versus soap, I'm not conducting the experiment or doing it the way they're doing it. Maybe you're primed in your life to see one versus the other. You got ready. Did you take a shower? These sort of things. It's kind of priming us. Here's an interesting experiment they did. They took undergrads, and they had them doing this puzzle where they give like some collection of words, 5 to 10 words, and then they tell the people that the study is about like how many sentences they can construct out of the words, okay? But really it has nothing really exactly to do with that. They have the people at the desks, and in one group, they're loading people, the words that they're making sentences out of are all like exercise and running fast and all this sort of stuff. And then in a different group, they have words that are associated with like being older and elderly. And the words they list here: Florida, forgetful, bald, gray, wrinkle. And so then they take the students who are making sentences out of words that are commonly associated with older people versus students who are having like youthful, energetic words. And then the real test is they say, okay, now the second part of the test is down the hall, and then they study the average walking speed of people who are assigned to one group versus the other. And the kids, these are, 20-year-old folks, the kids who sat there in the room writing words about slowness and older people's experience, they walk slower down the hall than the people who are writing energetic words. Isn't that wild? They call it the Florida effect. I don't know. Priming our thinking is changing how we are acting. This is what I want to show, and this is how we're building up to the beautiful hack. This is absolutely the truth. I say that it is true. Absolutely not. You've already broken free. Okay, they have a couple more of these sort of studies that they did. Yeah, listen to this study that they did. Says simple common gestures can also unconsciously influence our thoughts and feelings. In one demonstration, people were asked to listen to messages through new headphones, and they were told that the purpose of the experiment was to test the quality of the headphones, and they're instructed to move their heads repeatedly to check, to make sure there's not like loose wires or connections. Half the participants were told to nod their head up and down to check it, and the other half were told to nod side to side to check it. And then the messages that they're watching are these sounds like radio editorials, they call them, like podcast type things. And people who are nodding yes to test the audio equipment, doing the motion, tended to agree with the message that they heard. And this is a tendency. It's not extreme, but it's like people pushed like 5 to 10% more in agreement, statistically significant, tended more to agree with the message versus same message, but people nodding their head in that motion, say like, I don't agree with it, testing the headphones, say they much more likely to reject the message. Again, no awareness, just a habitual connection between an attitude of rejection and a common physical expression. He says, you can see why the common advice, act calm and kind regardless of how you feel, is very good advice. You are likely to be rewarded by actually feeling calm and kind, and therefore being more able to actually be calm and kind. Isn't that awesome? I really think this is interesting. The next part of this chapter is called the primes that guide us, right? So if we think about it, we're not just heading through our day, right? We are encountering things all the time. And the things that we are encountering are priming us in this way. It's not like it's forcing us into certain directions, but it's priming the system to make it easier to flow in a direction. It's nudging, influencing, pushing us in certain directions that we aren't even necessarily aware of. In this study, they studied voting patterns in Arizona during a 2000 election, specifically on a vote to increase funding for the schools. And I don't know how this study, they have footnotes, we could probably get the actual study. I don't know how they did it. If they know what people are voting, I don't get it. But they said on this school referendum that support for increasing the funding of schools was significantly greater when the polling station was located in a school as opposed to a different location. Or maybe they're just seeing the results of the elections and comparing them based on effect. The effect of the location of the polling place was more significant than the difference between parents and non-parents. Just so fascinating, right? Just the location. So it's like people getting primed. Oh, we're in a school. Like, school needs help. Like, we want to support the school. Think about the context of our lives. Think about what we're trying to do, right? The decisions we're trying to make. Dial us in. What are the priming effects? They have some fascinating examples about money. They prime people with money. They put pictures of money. They leave Monopoly games with piles of Monopoly money around in the testing room in their little experiments. So they're priming people with money. Money primed people less willing to spend time helping another student who pretended to be confused about a task. Money primed undergraduates showed a greater preference for being alone. The general finding was that the idea of a money-primed person involved a reluctance to be involved with others or to be dependent on others, tended to foster individualism. Isn't it fascinating to think of, like, the USA? Got a big money focus and individualism in the USA. Is one of these things actually causing the other, you wonder? Like, what is priming what? Findings suggest that living in a culture that surrounds us with reminders of money may shape our behavior and our attitudes in ways that we don't know about and of which we may not be proud of. See, when I read that, I was thinking, man, that is like the culture of consumption, man. This is what I'm talking about. We're all primed by a lot of stuff, and we are getting primed with attitudes that are influencing our emotions and behavior in really complex, deep, and profound ways, I think. And maybe this research is getting into some of the ideas that are shaping our thinking, and can we find a way to push back on that and be a little more objective, perhaps? Gain a little more agency and control about it and say, what are the things that I really value? What are the principles and guiding attitudes that I really want my life to be based on? And when you start to realize how influenced we can be by so many other things, then we can have a more skeptical eye toward it, even when we're feeling in a certain way, because I'm trying to show, like, these feelings are like coming to us as part of this complex emotional cognitive system that we are, it's a part of us, but isn't totally, defining us. Do all these experiments show that we are completely at the mercy of what is priming us in our environment? Of course they don't. The primes are strong and statistically significant, but they're not extremely large. But a few percent can flip an election, right? So this is what I'm saying. These things are nudging us and pushing us in a direction. And so the hack, as we start to get to it, we want to start utilizing this very interesting psychology, this very interesting reality about the way our brain, our being is interacting with the environment. We want to start leveraging that instead of just, corporations leveraging it. Obviously, the more you think about it, the more you see it, right? And advertising and all this stuff. Like, whoa, we are getting like primed to think and feel in certain ways. And we want to, for sure, take advantage of that. All right, in another experiment that they did, they did a little experiment on their own people in their research lab. They got a break room where everybody gets together for coffee, and then they've got this little box. It's called the honesty box. If you're taking a coffee, if you're having a tea, you throw like something in to help pay for it. Okay, people do it. So the experiment that they did, they took put a poster over the honesty box, and then every week they changed the pictures, okay? And on some weeks, they just showed beautiful nature pictures of flowers in like a strip over the honesty box. And then on alternating weeks, they posted pictures of these really menacing eyes, like just a box, like staring at people. And what they showed week after week, going back and forth, when the menacing eyes are looking at people over the honesty box, people donate more for the coffee, and they keep doing it. And it's just so interesting, these simple images and how it's like influencing people's behavior about how much money they put in the coffee box. Okay, so we can be primed. The picture's funny. I wanted to show the picture, but I'll show it some other time. The last sentence, he concludes this chapter. I made myself smile, and I'm actually feeling better. He's not feeling good. He made himself smile. Is triggering the associations of these emotions, and he actually feels better. Now we can glean. It's not just one hack, okay? It's like 3 hacks. Here's what I glean from this to turn it into a hack, because I'm fascinated by these priming effects. And I can see how, sometimes you might naturally do it to psych yourself up for something. And then you start to realize why it actually works, because we're creating these associations between things that we want. And it's loading these programs into the mind so that it's easier for us to flow in that direction. This is what we've talked about in the past, and is also a big part of what I've talked, right? Create the environment for success, right? So I've talked about this a lot, made videos about it. Like, and we talked about it even yesterday with the mental capital, right? If we are always having to sit here and say, no, 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 our whole environment is full of distractions. For example, we're trying to open up a fasting space. Like where is the worst place, to be? Is like, I'm going to just move my office into the kitchen and have my desk next to the fridge. So it's going to be very difficult, right? It's going to be right there. So the first step of the hack, right, is we've already talked about. Creating the environment for success means, like, if you have treats that you don't want to be eating all the time, is like, put them away, right, in the cupboard, working not in the kitchen, get away from the fridge, clearing everything up. And we want to create an environment where we're exposed to these triggers as little as possible, right? So we've kind of talked about that. That's step 1, removing the priming of things that are going to make it difficult for us. That's going to preserve our mental capital, like we talked about yesterday. And then the flip side of it, part 2, is we start priming ourselves with everything positive. A lot of times, I think because we're not aware of this sort of effect, like we don't take advantage of the fact that we can prime ourselves in positive directions just as much as we can be primed. And I think it may be like immunize, right? Can we immunize ourselves against, these pathogenic primings that are making it very difficult to us? So how do you do that? Here's the first little hack that I said. Do like this guy says, and I've done it for 2 days in a row now, and I think it really does help. Go look at yourself in the mirror, smile, tell yourself, I feel better and I'm going to make it, right? This is like turning yourself right into your own powerful life coach. You see yourself right in the mirror. Do you ever do this? Do you psych yourself up? And if not, why not? Like if you are struggling in a space, like before you struggle through it, go prime yourself and psych yourself up. Go look in the mirror and actually smile, even if you're unhappy, right? It's very hard to go look in the mirror and smile and not start feeling better. And the reason is because it's hacking in to this system, these primings, right? I've walked through these experiments. I've shown you, okay, you see some nasty, disgusting word, it's like starts priming. This is like, oh, like maybe everything is not okay. We're in a space, we're seeing like packaging that has ads, like, and we're seeing how beautiful the thing is. I want to eat it. Okay, so we get that out. We don't experience that. Now we start priming the other side of it. Say, I'm like hungry. I'm struggling not to eat something, but we're trying to change it. Now I tell everybody, of course, you see, don't have to white knuckle it, like we said. No pressure ever to do it. But if you're in the right mindset and you say, hey, no, I really want to do it. I'm okay. Like mental health is good. I'm trying to learn how to do it. All right, get yourself out of a situation that is priming these things and start loading in some new primes. So the first one is like, hey, I'm strong. I'm going to make it through it. Like just telling yourself, and then start loading your environment with the things that you really want. And this is something that I have not really thought about much before. But like, can you load your environment in some way? And I'll be happy to hear brainstorming. How would you do it? My thought just was Post-it notes to start with the actual words, because we saw even seeing a word can load in emotions and experiences. So here's the words that I came up with. Like if I was going to try to load your experience, you're going through your day and you're trying to be successful, the words I would want to load in that are coming into your day to power these experiences. Strength, resilience, patience, contentment, and happiness. Those are like the 5 words that I wanted to load. Because if we're in a space where we're struggling in some fashion, those are the things that I want. I want people in a space comfortable, calm, centered. People experiencing, do you experience it? Contentment. If you're in a battle with the pancake zone, that's not a content space, right? That's a space that is like struggle, frustration, anxiety. We say we want to calm that down. Start loading in the actual words of what you want. Maybe you're putting that Post-it on the fridge as like a little check, right? Before you just go in. And the word that is loaded there is resiliency, right? What if you're seeing that word? Can that support you? What if you had little cards and you put them at different places, like where you are going, that are loading in the emotions? Because the big state is the emotion, right? We want to get a handle on the emotion. And so many times, okay, we think we're just neutral, and then we're just getting battered by like the negatives coming that we're trying to shield. The big hack, I say, is like power forward with positive emotional cues that are boosting the process forward. Jen says, how do you remove things in your environment when other people buy things and bring them into the house too? Hey, this is a key thing. And I feel, was I talking about this yesterday with, someone who had, was describing their work environment where like everybody in the office is always bringing in treats, and then people get offended if you don't have them and they think you hate them, and it causes all this office drama, right? So navigating things like this, it's a negotiation. It's complicated. That's what I would say. How do you do it? The thoughts that are coming to me right now, anybody else share in good ideas, is just to have really a discussion between people about like, hey, here is the reality of the situation. Here is what I'm trying to do. Here are struggles that I'm having, and here are ways that it is, that this situation is making it difficult. Have to have an open, honest discussion about it and try to feel like, what is the balance? Like, a lot of times, people, come in when in my weight consulting, people come in, and then, the partner is like kind of piggybacking in. And so I try to give everybody 2-for-1 deal, but usually is like, sometimes like the best case scenario is like, okay, both people super dialed in, everybody ready to change. What's much, much more common is that one person's, really ready to dial in and one person's not. And that is like the trick. So what are the specific things? I would be happy to think and brainstorm. Like, are there specific triggers like that people are bringing in, and what are they? And do they have to be in the fridge, or do they have to be out, or can they be put in some place? Can there be a specific cupboard, a specific place? Is there a way just to shield it in some fashion so that you don't have to always see it? And that would be the thing. Kit Kats, yeah, that's a tricky one. I mean, if someone else is doing the shopping, can you take a walk if people are bringing them? I would say we gotta, in the big picture, that's something I would say we gotta try to minimize. Obviously, minimize. Not gonna help you walk in a healthy path. If someone else, if you say, I'm gonna try to dial out on that, can they have their own little place where they put it? Can they be buying it? I think what you're saying is like, you're not buying it, but someone else buying it and bringing it in. Can they have their own little place? Can they bring it in out of respect to you? Say, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You buy whatever you want. If Kit Kats is your path, it's your path. But it's really making it difficult for me to walk on a healthy path. Like, I see that stuff, it's coming into the house, I can't not eat it. Like, is that how you experience it? I mean, you see it, it's like, oh, I want it, it's there. Then you got to draw down that capital account, like we were saying, to do it. And as soon as you see it, like, think of the packaging, right? Bright orange is like hitting, and we've associated with it. So just seeing it is already priming the system, like we're saying. Like, if the Kit Kat was never there, maybe it never comes to your mind. But you see this, oh, it's a beautiful, bright, happy package, It's calling to me. Can they unload it? Can they have a special spot where they put it? Like, can we make it special for them? Like, or can at least try to sell it to them? Like, hey, you get your own special place. Just put that there. I'll never bother it. I'll never take these from you. And maybe that's a way to try to sell it to them. But this is very common. Just realize it's very common, and it's very, these things are tricky because, relationships like a top priority, right? We don't want to hurt relationships. And when we get into a food space, it's very easy to have conflict about it. People feel judged if you say, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. And then people feel bad. Hey, so far so good. Maybe this type of thing is a thing that you can use. Like, can you prime yourself in some fashion? Like, if someone's coming back with the groceries, can you just load in some of these things ahead of time? Strength, resiliency, patience, contentment, like all these things that you want. Can you go in the mirror and tell yourself ahead of time, like, hey, I'm heading into like the battle zone, right? Kit Kat gonna be coming in, like, gotta be strong, gotta stay on track, and then tell yourself, look what I've done. I've gone all this whole stretch. I'm a person who can do it. I've done it, and maybe you use some of these cognitive frameworks to kind of get the mind in the right set, where even if you see it, it's like I'm immunizing, right? Like, some of these things seem like such simple things. Like you say, oh, a Kit Kat bar comes in. Like, nobody think about it, right? But really, these are like the pivotal things, because like, I don't know what your experience has been. My experience, I keep all that stuff out, and thankfully I have people who are on board with that here. But like, at the university, when we have the break room and, everybody bringing in Kit Kat bars, we have drawers full of people filling candy bars and stuff, people throwing it all over. Okay, I try to, I don't even look at that room, because if I look at it, I would go eat it. And then my experience was I eat, one of these things, and then it's like very hard to stop. And then once you knock down a couple of these things, and I feel terrible, and I can hardly think the rest of the day. Just feel awful. So that's why, kind of a battle. I think it's okay to have a frame of mind. If this really is the most important thing, these are the sorts of things that are pulling you off a path toward health, which is like so important to everything. Mental health, physical health, all connected, Trying to take care of ourselves, avoid illness and disease, like that's like a top priority. And does it really come down to making some of these, very simple, basic things? I'd have my little stone, I love that talk we were doing, the little stone. I love that stripe in the middle is like the path, right? To walk toward health in a day, especially in a society that is completely overwhelmed by processed food and things that are so appealing but actually lead to dishealth and disease, like, you got to be very thoughtful to stay on the path, Very easy to start walking off in other directions. I think it's the perfect thing to dial in on. How do we just navigate the experience of being exposed to things we don't want? Right in our home should be the safest place, right? Our home should be the place where it's the very easiest to make the best decision. That's how we should design it. Home is like a sanctuary. Home is a safe place. It should be like the healthiest, most nurturing place. These are the sorts of ideas that I would be trying to bring up to people. Like, shouldn't this be the place where we're fortifying ourselves and building ourselves up? And so to have home be a place where you have to be battling, it's not optimal. And so trying to construct it in a way where, because as soon as we leave the house, now we got billboards and flashing stuff and like all of this. And trying to bring our experience at home. Rearrange the furniture helps. Yeah, tell me more. I want to get into the thinking with it. Like, just like changing up the framework, changing up the thinking. Changing up the thinking as I'm seeing it, as far as like patterns. Like, if we're stuck in a cycle or bad habits or patterns, shake up the experience. It's good to be new, right? Part of what I'm saying, like January 1st, 2026, we're trying to be new. We're trying to renew ourselves. I love the fasting process as far as cellular renewal. That's taking things very down to the base level. You get an autophagy space. The cell is cleansing out dysfunctional stuff. It's even cleansing out dysfunctional cells and then calling in stem cells, rejuvenating the system. So anything that can be a refreshing process. You change one thing, it's easier to change something else. That's true. Like we kind of get locked in, right? And hard to change. When you start changing something, it's like you kind of have to unlock the situation. And so it's like maybe the furniture changing. Associate the new arrangement with the new mindset, the new habits, the new patterns. I really like that. Like, hey, look, new stuff is happening here. New arrangement, new day, new perspective. And then pick what the framework is that is the most helpful. Kit Kats don't come in the house. They're like cigarettes. You keep them in the garage, or they stay in the car, you know? I like it. I do like it. If they have to come, you know, they go in the special box. They go and can, you know, call me when you're coming in, and I'm going to go take a walk, and you get them where they are. And then I like it. Anything you can do, change the pattern, change the cycle. I think it's a great idea. That would be like another hack, the furniture hack, and change the framework. Okay, those are my thoughts of the day on this hack. Give it a try. Give some thoughts. Hit the mirror. Give yourself a pep talk. Do the physical act. Actually smile or make a strong face. Like when you're telling yourself, I am strong and powerful and resilient, and I am going to tackle this situation. You're going to prime that experience. You're stressed out. Give yourself a calm expression. Say, hey, you know what? I am all right here. Like, this is okay. Yeah, I'll just tell you, as someone who has spent many years working in a weight loss clinic with hundreds and hundreds of people, this is almost everybody's experience. So be encouraged, okay? You are not a special case of someone who is just can't do some simple thing. Like, because people say, oh, quitting cigarettes is so hard, and I can't just stop eating a little thing. You know, reverse it. Most people's experience is like the experience that you're having. Food, so intimately connected to our human experience. You know, the thing that makes smoking cigarettes, like quitting smoking, easier is you don't actually have to do it, you know? Like, you don't have to smoke, and you can just get rid of them and ban it all, okay? Food we have to eat, you know? Even if you're in a fasting, it's not like we're fasting forever, some huge thing. It's always a balance, right? And so we have to keep eating. It's not like we can't eat. And then we have all the complexity that comes in with specially designed food, you know, the junk food, right? You say it'd be easier to lose weight in 1700, right? Before industrialized food, right? But then that shows you, it just shows you really so much of the cause of the experience that we're having. Natural foods that come from the earth in a natural way, from trees and animals and bushes and things, you know, you can eat almost as much of it as you want without gaining weight. Like, pretty much, you know. Nobody becomes overweight eating a salad and carrots and all this sort of stuff. The processed food is the stuff that really throws the body haywire. It starts distorting the hormonal structure of the body. And so then things are not operating right. It's not normal physiology in the body to be insulin resistant. Once the body has gotten pushed into a state where the cells are insulin resistant, like nothing is working right. Liver isn't really working right. Muscles aren't taking up sugar right. Body fat tissue is in this inflammatory state. Like everything is out of balance. And that's I think, an unappreciated reason, you know, why, okay, it's so difficult to lose weight in the long term, is that there are dysfunctional things happening in the body. Is way downstream of the food environment. So correcting the food environment, getting all the processed food out to the greatest extent possible. Okay, this is part of why a fasting space is so valuable, is like, it's just guaranteeing for this big period of time, no processed food is coming in here. It's getting the body space to bring the system back into balance. That's what this whole thing is about. It takes, you think of a scale as getting pulled in a direction. You've got to pull it back the other way to realign it in the center. And so a fasting space is like a big space, like a counterbalancing to this effect of processed food, bringing us way out of balance. Fasting is like a big force on the other side to kind of pull things back into balance. So I say you're in the right space, you're in the right mindset, you're really dialing in on these things. Okay, how do I actually do it? It's messy, it's complex, it's difficult, it's woven so far into our life and patterns. We change that thinking, we open our mind to realize it, we take things one day at a time, and we keep working on it. And we always, I try to say all the time, we just have a lot of grace with ourselves, recognize we're in a very difficult space. Yeah, I don't know. I can see the picture in my mind. I'm looking at the dollar bill or whatever. Maybe it's not impossible. It'd be interesting to go back and do a historical analysis, but on a population level. Ben Franklin also pretty wealthy. And so you just wonder what exactly is the situation. Also, we had a big sugar trade going on starting in Ben Franklin's era, and East India Company and all this sort of stuff. There's a lot of sugar started flowing in. But historically, you go back, you can look at murals in Rome and all this sort of stuff. And it's not that there's never been an overweight person historically, but the percentage of people tended to cluster, in my understanding, with affluence, and the vast majority of people historically did not have this experience. And so it's interesting to think about these historical experiences. All right. Really nice chatting with you all today. Go out into the day. Prime yourself for success. Take these thoughts, put them into action. Do your very best in this day. Stay grounded, centered, present. Make the best choices that you can. And let us reconvene tomorrow, and we will see how it has gone. I will share some more insights, maybe from this book. I haven't decided yet. You let me know if you have opinions. I don't know if I'm just going to power straight through the whole book. I have so many other topics and things that I want to explore. Maybe we start jumping around a few things. I don't know. We think about it. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.